fucking by. What the fuck is going on here? This might call for a restart if it doesn't resolve itself soon.
Astrid, I have something to say to you.
Klimek? What is it?
I don't want you to leave Iverstead.
Why not?
Because I would miss you.
But I thought you only cared about your fishing.
What good are fish if you have to eat them alone?
Oh, Klimek.
Extreme romanticism. Anyway, that's that leg of the quest done for the Book of Love. Alright, we are full up on crap, so it's time to return to Whiterun real quick. Deposit some stuff in the Breeze home chest. Take note, wizards are weak against electricity. Alright, this is taking part after this. I mean, by the transitive property of wizards, then yes, that probably means you're a wizard. Well, at least we're learning a lot.
I work with my mother, so sell fruits and vegetables.
That's not an appropriate musical cue.
It's so
out here. I don't know how you stand it.
Just because the game is performing like garbage for some reason. Sometimes it just happens. It's not a good noise. It's not a good noise either. Okay, fucking... What's the deal? Alright, well, hopefully a restart fixed it. Whatever was going on. If not, well, that sucks. Nords are very bad at reading.
Nothing like a goose chase around the whole damned province. This better not be all the things you just can't be bothered with.
It's not! I promise. See, I'm taking things. I'm not just giving them to you. Okay, that should do it. Now we can head to Ustengrav. Fortunately, Ustengrav is actually pretty nearby a place we've already been. It's just a little bit east of Folgenther. Maybe you'll do that eventually.
Hold! Now cast!
Still not totally satisfied with that audio lag, but I'm not sure what there is I can do about it at this point. It's been 7 years. I don't think demanding that Bethesda fix their shit will do anything.
Oh! Kadeen!
I think I might have accidentally killed that moth with my shout. Since Ustengrav is meant to be done at pretty much any point, it's a fairly easy dungeon, and there probably won't be any Draugr Death Overlord shenanigans. At least I hope not. I guess we're in a slightly better position to do that now, but it would still be pretty tough. Gonna try and focus on using the crossbow for a bit. Just so I can get my archery skill up. better to do it now, while enemies aren't unmanageably tough.
I was always taught to avoid these types of ruins. I think I see why now.
What was that? Knew it. Oh,
There are actually too many enemies on screen for the game to accurately register which one I'm actually pointing at.
Done and done.
For some reason I'm stuck walking. Hold on. There we go. Okay, it was just a weird thing with the crossbow. Lately I've been getting to thinking about the sort of essential question at the center of all of this. Is Skyrim actually like a good game? And it's still not something that I have found a satisfactory answer to. Like, I certainly enjoy playing it, but I enjoy playing Digimon World too, so obviously I can't be trusted. Certainly there's lots of stuff in it, which is, you know, for the frugal gamer,
Where'd you come
it's definitely a plus.
from? Who's there? Done and done.
But, like, the deeper questions, like, is this actually mechanically sound and fun to play? I'm not sure. Like, I'm legit not sure. It seems to be a game that's very good at fooling you into thinking that you're doing things, but maybe you kind of aren't. I mean, it's like, for every person I hear ever discussing these games, it's like, oh, the combat and the mechanics aren't this game's strong point. All the way from here back to Daggerfall. And it's like, okay, but you do so much of it, then what is its strong point? And it's hard to put a finger on. It's fun to explore around places. And I think like a big part of it probably comes from the fact that you do have a lot of options in how you approach how to play the game. And I think that a lot of the criticism of Skyrim and some of the later Elder Scrolls games and Fallout games is that
Fantastic.
the options that you have with which to engage in the game world have gradually become on fire. They have gradually become less complex and less rewarding as time has gone on in the name of streamlining things.
Who's there?
It's difficult to hit moving targets in this game because they move really strangely. If they're not running directly at you, they sort of shuffle around. So, full disclosure on my part, Skyrim... What?
That'll teach you.
I didn't know you could do that. Full disclosure, Skyrim was my first Elder Scrolls game. I was a little bit too young for the other ones. Like I was, what, 8 when Morrowind came out? That would have been a tough sell for 8-year-old me. So I think a lot of the points of reference for criticism like that I'm missing. Because, like, when somebody says that they're super disappointed that they took, I don't know, individual skills for one-handed, well, not one-handed, but, like, short blades and long blades and all of that, the way I look at it is kind of like, that sounds like a pain in the ass, though.
Where'd you come from? That'll teach you.
Because, like, don't get me wrong, I have tried Morrowind and Oblivion. And Oblivion, I made some headway in before I think something made this decade caught my attention instead. But I just could not get into Morrowind because it was like, I don't know, it didn't feel like playing a game. I would shove my sword in a rat and it wouldn't work. And I would do it again and it wouldn't work, but then sometimes it would work. So it's like, there are tons of these really well-reasoned, great arguments that I've listened to and read about why Skyrim is sort of this end result of a philosophy of excising things that don't need to be excised and dumbing them down. And it's like, I respect that, but also, from the outside looking in, have y'all even played the games you're saying are super good? Like, seriously?
Who's there?
Honestly, the vampire hunting goes pretty poorly, because my best friend is a vampire. I'm not very good at the job.
Fools, run!
get some more vampire hunting later. For now, we're doing some main questy stuff because it has useful things in it. So, and there are definitely a couple of things, that's a useful shout. There are definitely a couple of things in those criticisms that I agree with. Like, I watched a video about how Daggerfall played, and while I think for the most part, it looked like ridiculous garbage bullshit, even more so than, like, Morrowind, I can't deny the fact that the ability to climb any surface and act like fucking Spider-Man, that was definitely something they shouldn't have taken out. Because it's, you know, it's really funny. And you can basically do that anyway in Skyrim with the mountain bullshit. And it's like, some of the other criticisms that I've heard is that the later games are too small. Which I find to be an utterly ludicrous statement. Because this one guy I've been watching videos by, because I find his points interesting, though I don't agree with a lot of them, is that he is just so fucking enamored with the fact that the world of Daggerfall is like half the size of Great Britain. But when I hear that, I just think, holy shit. Doing anything in that game must take forever. And it's like, the way he describes it, it just sounds like there's nothing there. Sorry, I'm trying to remember the right way to go while I'm rambling about things I watched on YouTube. Now this is the way.
There. I knew I heard something.
You can do this little jab attack with the crossbow. It randomly does a lot of damage sometimes, and then sometimes it doesn't. It's not something I would recommend that you depend on. It can be useful to sort of stun an enemy and get some distance if you need it, but I recommend just staying far away in the first place and not charging into them like I'm doing. So this is, as far as I'm aware, a unique puzzle in the game. It's basically a check to learn that you learned Whirlwind Sprint.
Hold. Now cast.
Of course, it's a little bit finicky. A little bit finicky. So we need to wait for our shout to cool down to try again. You actually only need the first level of Whirlwind Sprint, so I'm actually just going to stick with that, because I think it actually goes off a little bit faster. Are you serious? That should have worked. This usually doesn't give me so much trouble.
Hold. Now.
This is strange. If I put my crossbow away?
Hold. Now cast.
this isn't supposed to happen. Alright, well. Okay. Sure. I have never had this much trouble with this ever. This is actually getting a little bit annoying. Okay, made it. Barely.
Stay on your guard.
So this is basically Trap City. You step on anything and you get rewarded with a gout of flame. I think you're supposed to use more whirlwind sprints to deal with this. Of course, you could also just kind of sprint and not care.
Where'd you... Done and...
Maybe one day I'll turn off the Spider-Man mod. Just to show y'all how aggressively unpleasant looking the frostbite spiders really are. Alright, we finally made it to the end. And we can claim our prize! The Horn of Jurgen Windcaller! Wait a minute. So, in a twist of fate that baffles me, to be perfectly honest, somebody got here before us, using their own whirlwind sprint to get through the traps and shit. I'm legitimately unsure how they managed this feat. I'm not usually a stickler for things like that in my video games, but there were some definite you need to shout to solve these puzzles in this ruin. And it's like, they killed some Draugr at the end, but not all of them? Or, like, even most of them? There's some inconsistencies with this setup that I don't appreciate. It would be easier to swallow if it wasn't a pain in the ass to go and have your thing stolen like this. because it introduces some characters in a faction that I could not give less of a hell about. Old Tiber Septim forgot to lock the door, huh? Typical. Just typical of an Imperial. Well, the only thing to really reasonably do is go to Riverwood and rent the attic room. Talos is the hero god of mankind, and forgot to lock the door to Ustengrav. This would be a good time to check in with Findall to get some more free archery training, but Serana won't allow that. She's very clingy.
So, a costume? You're not serious.
You're that visitor been poking around. Attic room, eh? Well, we don't have an attic room, but you can have the one on the left. Make yourself at home.
There's two on the left, Delphine. Come on.
So you're the Dragonborn I've been hearing so much about. I think you're looking for this. We need to talk. Follow me.
Oh, is this another one of those celebrity guest voices that I don't care about whatsoever?
Close the door. Now we can talk.
Serana, I just closed that! Alright, I don't want to devalue the work that celebrity guests do in these games, but also a lot of them just aren't voice actors. And as good as they might be on the silver screen, or the smaller screen, or the stage even, sometimes that doesn't translate to voice acting for a video game.
The Greybeards seem to think you're the Dragonborn. I hope they're right. Surprised? I guess I'm getting pretty good at my harmless innkeeper act.
How did you woo in Sprint?
You can't be too careful. Thalmor spies are everywhere. I didn't go to all this trouble on a whim. I needed to make sure it wasn't a Thalmor trap. I am not your enemy. I already gave you the horn. I'm actually trying to help you. I just need you to hear me out. Like I said in my note, I've heard that you might be Dragonborn. I'm part of a group that's been looking for you. Well, someone like you, for a very long time. If you really are Dragonborn, that is. Before I tell you any more, I need to make sure I can trust you. I knew the Greybeards would send you there if they thought you were Dragonborn. They're nothing if not predictable. When you showed up here, I knew you were the one the Greybeards sent, and not some Thalmor plant. We remember what most don't, that the Dragonborn is the ultimate dragon slayer. You're the only one that can kill a dragon permanently by devouring its soul. Can you do it? Can you devour a dragon's soul?
That's none of your business!
This is no time to play the reluctant hero. You either are or aren't Dragonborn. But I'll see for myself soon enough. Dragons aren't just coming back. They're coming back to life. They weren't gone somewhere for all these years. They were dead, killed off centuries ago by my predecessors. Now something's happening to bring them back to life, and I need you to help me stop it. I know they are. I visited their ancient burial mounds and found them empty, and I figured out where the next one will come back to life. We're going to go there, and you're going to kill that dragon. If we succeed, I'll tell you anything you want to know.
If we fail, I guess we die.
Kynes Grove. There's an ancient dragon burial near there. If we can get there before it happens, maybe we'll learn how to stop it. I need to get into my traveling gear. Give me a minute and I'll be ready. That's better. Let's get on the road to Kynes Grove.
Now, fortunately for me, I've already been to Kynes Grove, so I can just fast travel there when Delphine gets her butt in gear.
Orgnar, I'm traveling. You've got the inn till I get back.
Right. Happy trails.
Serana's the one who insisted on following me. Hello.
I'm looking for you. Got something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only. Let's see here. There's a new museum opening up in Dawnstar. The owner is asking me to hand out invitations to travelers. Looks like that's it. Got to go.
It's so bright out here. I don't know how you stand it.
Kynes Grove is this way. We can travel together or split up and meet there. Your choice.
Yes, the weapon that Delphine wields is a bit of a hint as to who she is, if you are familiar with Elder Scrolls lore, which the first time I played this I was not, so I thought she just had a sick katana for no reason.
Wait.
Yes?
No, you don't want to go up there. A dragon, it's attacking. It flew over the town and landed on the old dragon burial mound.
I don't know what it's doing up there, but I'm not waiting around to find out.
Come on, hurry. We might be too late.
Let's get indoors.
I didn't do it?
Cave. Anyway, out of this.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the weirder line reads in the game. She seems sort of confused by her own statement. It's attacking?
Salokunir, Zil Grotova Ursa.
Steady. I know what's happening. Let's watch and wait. This is worse than I thought.
He's the most important dragon, and he's looking right at me. Hello!
Alduin Fury. Boantid Vokri Hasrixejun Kuzig. Ger Salokunir, Kalimir. Forlusai Dovakin. Zuu. Korav Min Nol Dov to high. You do not even know our tongue, do you? Such arrogance.
This must be that beautiful Skyrim weather I've always heard about.
The name of Dova. Salokunir. Kridar Jur.
On guard!
This is a scripted dragon fight against Salokunir. Alduin just flies off. He's too busy to deal with us, I guess. Salokunir isn't any tougher than any other dragon. In fact, depending on where you are, just in the game, you might actually be a bit of a chump.
I'll be danged. You did it! Wait, something's happening. God's above! So you really It's true, isn't it? You really are Dragonborn.
Yep, that's the game.
I owe you some answers, don't I? Go ahead. Whatever you want to know. Nothing held back. I'm one of the last members of the Blades. A very long time ago, the Blades were dragon slayers, and we served the Dragonborn, the greatest dragon slayer. For the last 200 years since the last Dragonborn Emperor, the Blades have been searching for a purpose. Now that dragons are coming back, our purpose is clear again. We need to stop them.
Yes, Serana?
Exactly. Nobody even remembers our name these days. We used to be known across Tamriel as the protectors of the Septim Emperors. Those days are long gone, though. For the last 200 years, we've been searching for the next Dragonborn to guide and guard, as we are sworn to do. But we never found one, until now. Not a damn thing. I was just as surprised as you to find that big black dragon here. Really? Where? Interesting. Same dragon.
Same
Damn,
dragon.
blundering around in the dark.
Same
I
hat.
need to figure out who's behind it all. The first thing we need to do is figure out who's behind the dragons.
The dragons are behind the dragons, Delphine.
If they aren't involved, they'll know who is. Before the Great War, the Blades helped the Empire against the Thalmor. Our Grand Master saw them as the greatest threat to Tamriel. At the time, that was true. Maybe it still is. So we fought them in the shadows, all across Tamriel. We thought we were more than a match for them. We were wrong. Nothing solid, yet. But my gut tells me it can't be anybody else. The Empire had captured Ulfric. The war was basically over. Then a dragon attacks, Ulfric escapes, and the war is back on. And now the dragons are attacking everywhere, indiscriminately. Skyrim is weakened. The Empire is weakened. Who else gains from that but the Thalmor? If we could get into the Thalmor embassy, it's the center of their...
Delphine is sort of paranoid and obsessed about the Thalmor, which is forgivable given their shared history. But as it turns out, they really have nothing to do with any of this.
I'm not sure yet. I have a few ideas, but I'll need some time to pull things together. Meet me back in Riverwood. If I'm not back when you get there, wait for me. I shouldn't be long. Keep an eye on the sky. This is only going to get worse.
So, this is the part of the game where I just kind of leave Delphine hanging for all eternity because the main quest is dumb, and I don't really do it until I have nothing else to do. She talks too much because she's, you know, main character. Don't know why I picked those up, but I did. Alright, so we're in Kynes Grove now. What we're gonna want to do is head back to High Hrothgar, because we do have the horn now. Speaking of people who talk too much, off we go to see the Greybeards. The reason why I even do Knife in the Dark in the first place is that it's basically a free dragon, more or less, if that makes sense. God, it's so weird that I have 2 Drain Vitalities in my list. Bugs. I believe that also progressing in the main quest does make it so that dragons spawn a bit more often. So just doing that sort of kicks the whole dragon thing into a little bit higher gear.
Ah, you've retrieved the horn of Jorgen Wimkon. Well done. You have now passed all the trials. Come with me. It is time for us to recognize you formally as Dragonborn.
It's kind of my quest. It's also a little... Serana, you're not the Dragonborn. Get out of there.
You are ready to learn the final word of unrelenting force. Da, which means push. Da.
I think it's a combination overall of the character's level and where you are in the main quest.
With all three words together, this shout is much more powerful. Use it wisely. Master Wolfgar will now gift you with his knowledge of dark. You have completed your training, Dragonborn. We would speak to you. Stand between us and prepare yourself. Few can withstand the unbridled voice of the Greybeards, but you are ready. Indra, Rossis, Saran, Strundul, Oth Ibalan, Lo, Ran, now. Meis nu ispir, dovadebrom, daman, da, rock. Dovahkiin, you have tasted the voice of the Greybeards and passed through unscathed. High Hrothgar is open to you.
Alright, we'll see ya. At this point, you can actually talk to Arngir about a bunch of different things, and he'll help you find different words of power throughout the world as sort of a Radiant quest thing. He'll say he's felt the whisper of a word, and he'll mark your map with it, and you can go find it. But since I know where most of that stuff is already, I think it's just time to leave. So now we finally have all three words of Unrelenting Force, the iconic
Fus?
probably one of the most useful shouts in the game. It doesn't do a lot of damage for the most part. But it's very good at creating space and disabling enemies, because it just sort of knocks them all over. Yes, you can absolutely shout people off cliffs, and that is a really good way of taking care of them. Since we're in the area, we might as well take a look at Shroud Hearth Barrow. After this, we'll probably head up north to the Tomb of Ysgramor, just so we can get the Companion's questline done.
Leave this place. Leave this place. Leave.
We have no reason whatsoever to actually heed that warning. Because you can just kill ghosts like everything else in this game. That puzzle can be a little bit annoying, but mostly you just have to find the right lever configuration to open up the door. It's trial and error more than anything. I just happen to remember the solution fairly quickly. traps are actually fairly non-lethal. That's irregular. Anyway, the gist of this is, Wendelius wasn't actually a ghost at all. He just found a potion that let it seem like he was a ghost to fool the townspeople while he looked for treasure, but then he went crazy because, I don't know, real ghosts? I would like to loot you. Nothing doing. Good thing he didn't carry anything important, huh? We can't progress further into the dungeon before we go and talk to Wilhelm, so let's go say hello. Show him the journal. Well, if I knew the right spell, it might be possible, though he might be too high level for where I am. My conjuration skill is low, very low. And the basic raise dead spell is only like for people up to level 6, I think? Serana might be able to do it if I could, like, somehow control her mad whims.
Keep an eye on folks if you're headed up the path to High Hrothgar. We don't get many visitors through here, unless they're headed up to High Hrothgar, of course.
Let me see that. I can't believe this.
It was all just a fabrication of this Wendelius character.
I can't believe we were so stupid.
Well, least I can do is give you something for taking care of him. If you won't accept it as a payment, consider it a gift. He's harmless. He's been in a state ever since his sister Rada disappeared over a year ago. He just keeps to himself in what's left of his folks' farmhouse across the river. I just said that to make the poor guy feel better.
The poor guy feels better.
Dead. Rada would gather ingredients from the small island in the river east of here. Then one day, she just vanished. I tried to look for her, but she never turned up. I've seen some sort of a cave entrance over there. Folks call it Geierman's Hall. but I don't know why. Probably best if you avoid it for now. It didn't seem to do Rada any good. If you're headed up to the monastery, watch. It's a long way down. Have you spoken to Fastred yet?
No. I'll tell you, Wilhelm. If I could sweep her away from here tomorrow, I'd do it.
Oh, that does remind me, you'll need to go back to Riften at some point. The next stage of that quest. Anyway, we have definitively proven that Shroudhearth isn't haunted, at least not by anything out of the ordinary. I'm sure there's still a horde of Draugr down there, but those are just a fact of life in Skyrim. What's the big deal? Turns out that the villagers did in fact have the claw that Wendelius was seeking all of this time. He just never thought to ask them about it. Alright, so the pattern is moth, owl, wolf. I read something interesting the other day on, I think, the wiki? Or maybe it was a video of some kind. I don't know. Can't quite remember off the top of my head. But the reason for all these ancient Nord puzzle locks was not to keep people out, but to make sure that the people opening the door had some manner of higher intelligence, i.e., they weren't Draugr. Damn it, Serana! So it was a security measure to keep the Draugr in, not keep people out. Apparently, either they just didn't care about grave robbers, or they figured that if any grave robber was audacious enough to come in, they would get owned by Draugr. Which, for some of the later tombs, is probably true. Free magic. They should be bursting out any moment now. Yep.
Where'd you come from? Where'd you come from?
Kill-cam moves can be a bit of a godsend against higher level enemies, because you can sort of execute them if you get a lucky kill cam. Serana, please. Please! Alright, I guess I'm gonna have to do this now. It aggro the Draugr, but Serana doesn't care. You actually have to hit your companions quite a bit with friendly fire for them to actually give a shit. Which is good, because especially if you're playing as a mage character with lots of AoE effects, it's pretty hard not to actually just sort of hit them forever. There's a special perk you can take in the Dragonborn DLC, though, that will make things a lot easier if you like using companions. I do not, but we're stuck with Serana for the time being. of ways you can take advantage of that giant pool of oil. You can knock one of these down. You can use a fire spell. You can use fire breath. Basically, any contact with fire will set the whole thing on fire and kill all the skeletons.
Where'd you come from?
Regrettably, when those traps are available for use, they're usually not powerful enough to actually make much of a difference. Or if they are, it's against enemies that are weak as hell anyway. Excuse me, I had to sneeze.
That'll teach you.
I'm gonna try and remember to use Sunfire a little bit more. It's a good way to level up Restoration without cheesing things at High Hrothgar.
Who's there? You knew I heard something. That'll teach you.
It's an offensive spell, but it counts as Restoration. Careful now. This is why I like to install follower trap safety. Those things are usually a one-hit kill. Enemies can still trigger them though, so you need to be careful. You can also just use that as an advantage, if you're careful. But a lot of the time it just means that an enemy that slipped behind you will step on the plate while you're in a bad position and you'll get smooshed. Alright, so this is a unique-ish little puzzle here. It's another one of the matching ones, which are never explicitly hard. This one just requires a bit of busy work. If you stand on this plate, then the walls turn, and you can see what the other matching symbols are. Then when you've matched them all, you step on the pressure plate and you can pass. There's another big smashy thing here. Those are the most dangerous traps by far. By comparison, the fire traps actually don't do very much. Sunfire is useful enough as an offensive spell. It sort of pales in comparison to, like, our crossbow and actual weapons. But we do want to get better at restoration. There's an exceptionally useful perk that you can get when you hit 40 in restoration that pretty much every character ever wants. This room has a lot of Draugr. Most of them start off far away from you, so if you have a strong range weapon, it's kind of just a shooting gallery. Wasting too many bolts. If you're diligent, you can get some bolts back just by searching the corpses. It's better with Hunter's Discipline, though, but that's not for a while yet. Thanks to Marked for Death, I was able to kill a boss-level enemy in just 2 hits. It's a very useful shout. It can really speed things along. Now here's a tricky little thing. This trap trigger is hiding beneath a shield. Resist magic. That's actually quite useful. Enchantments that blanket resist magic are very powerful.
Hold. Now cast.
Anyway, we learned the first word to the shout, Kind's Peace, which makes wild animals unwilling to fight and run away. It's a bit niche in its applications, but it's not bad. Sometimes you really just don't want to fight 3 bears. This pops us right back out in the chamber that when... Oh. His corpse is right now. Now, one of the annoying things about Iverstead is that despite it being kind of a quest hub, is that there's nobody really around to sell things to. So if you want to go and haul your loot off to make some money off of it, you have to go quite a ways. We could go to Gehrman's Hall right now, but I'm kind of whatever about it. It's part of the Forbidden Legend quest, but I have to drop some stuff off, and I'd rather go finish up the Companions quest line right now. Once I drop some stuff off so I can actually carry things. I really need to get this place decorated. Still a quest item? Come on! Now, one thing that can actually really start taking up room in your inventory without even realizing it is alchemy ingredients. Some of them are quite heavy. And others you just collect so many of, it starts to add up. Alright, time for a 6 speed running tactic. This is not my beautiful dusty home, I think. It looks similar.
Sleep well? Does it matter? You're warm, dry, and still very much alive. That's more than can be said for old Grelod, Half of Skyrim knows. Old hag gets butchered in her own orphanage. Things like that tend to get around. Oh, but don't misunderstand. I'm not criticizing. It was a good kill. Old Crone had it coming. And you saved a group of urchins to boot.
If I recall, I punched her to
But there
death
is
with
a
one punch.
problem. You see, that little Aretino boy was looking for the Dark Brotherhood. For me and my associates. Grelod the Kind was, by all rights, a Dark Brotherhood contract. A kill that you stole.
I'm a valor thief!
A kill you must repay. Well now, funny you should ask. If you turn around, you'll notice my guests. I've collected them from, well, that's not really important. The here and now. That's what matters. You see, there's a contract out on one of them, and that person can't leave this room alive. But, which one? Go on. See if you can figure it out. Make your choice. Make your kill. I just want to observe and admire. Am I to take your silence as acceptance? Then you know where we stand. Make your kill and we're square. Repayment of your debt is but a discreet knife thrust away.
Alright, so this is the very beginning. Well, not the very beginning, but after completing Innocence Lost, this is the start of the Dark Brotherhood questline. And there's 3 NPCs that you can choose to murder. You can murder 1, you can murder 2, you can murder all 3, it doesn't matter. You can talk to them to find their stories, it doesn't matter. You can also kill Astrid if you want. That fails the Dark Brotherhood questline, but it lets you go on a different quest called Destroy the Dark Brotherhood. Or you just sort of destroy the Dark Brotherhood and then you don't have to worry about it. It's not, strictly speaking, a very good option because it only gets you like 3,000 gold as opposed to the vast riches you can accumulate otherwise throughout the quest. But that's neither here nor there. For purposes of this run-through, I'm just going to do it properly.
I can hear you talking out there. My name is Full-Time. I'm a soldier. Well, mercenary, really. You know, a sellsword. I've lived in Skyrim all my life. That's all. I'm a nobody, really. So, can't you just let me go? What? Oh, God. I don't want to die. Okay, well, I guess it's possible. I've been selling my sword arm for years now. Killed a lot of people. Could be someone wanted revenge. But you're not going to kill me, right? What did I do?
It's worth talking to each of them because you do get a free persuade check for speech experience.
Things off of me. None of your damn business who I am. If you're going to kill me, just do it already. Esmara is my witness. If I didn't have this hood on right now, I would spit right in your face. Excuse me. What kind of question is that? I'm a woman living in Skyrim with 6 children and no husband. I don't have the time or the patience to be nice. Do some people look down on me? Have I made some enemies? You're damn right. I don't have time for this nonsense. I've got a
Whoever
home
this
to keep
is,
until...
clearly we got off on the wrong foot.
Let me
But
out
no
of here.
worries. This is not the first time I have been bagged and dragged. Varsha, at your service. Obtainer of goods, taker of lives, and defiler of daughters. Have you not heard of me? Perhaps I will have my people carve my name in your corpse as a reminder. Me, Are you serious? The real question is, would someone pay to have me killed again? A day goes by without someone trying to cut me in the street. I get disappointed. Tell you what, you release me and I promise my associates will not hunt you down like an animal and butcher you in the street. It is a win-win.
So, in all likelihood, it's probably this guy that has the contract out on him. But also, he's kind of funny and I like him. And there's, like, no reason to kill this woman, like, at all. So sorry, buddy, but you gotta go.
Hands off of me.
The execution hood is a unique item, I guess, but it's not particularly exciting.
Oh ho! The whimpering Nord, eh? Yes. Yes, I can see how you'd come to that conclusion. Interesting choice. When most would speak, you listen. You think. You understand that the only thing that matters is you following my orders. To kill. Of course. And you've repaid your debt in full. Here's the key to the shack. But why stop here? I say we take our relationship to the next level.
Oh, there's nothing more romantic than murder.
I officially extend to you an invitation to join my family, the Dark Brotherhood. In the southwest reaches of Skyrim, in the Pine Forest, you'll find the entrance to our sanctuary. It's just beneath the road, hidden from view. When questioned by the Black Door, answer with the correct passphrase, "Silence, my brother." Then you're in, and your new life begins. I'll see you at home.
Anyway, that opens up access to the Dark Brotherhood Sanctuary, which has at least one thing that I'm interested in getting, so it's worth it to go and unlock it just for that. As I mentioned, you don't have to sully your hands with murder if you don't want to. You can turn your weapon on Astrid instead and just leave. Actually wasn't as close to Ysgrimmor's tomb as I thought, but whatever, worth it. Let's go to Frostflow. There's no real reason not to join the Dark Brotherhood. You're not forced to really do anything too heinous. And there's nothing to stop you from just doing that one thing, opening up the sanctuary, and then just, leaving her hanging for all eternity. Like I'm doing to Delphine.
It'll be good to get out of the sun for a while.
I believe the tomb of Ysgrimmor is on that rock over there, that island. It can be a little bit difficult to figure out which one, but I'm pretty sure it's not this one. That one's Inselvund. Ingvild? Something sufficiently Nordic sounding. It doesn't really have much in it.
Wold. Nakest.
Uh-oh. Looks like Kind's piece wore off. I think it's like 24 in-game hours, not real hours. This could be dangerous, but I think I can actually whirlwind sprint over without dying.
Wold. Nakest.
It was a close thing, but we managed it. Right. Kind's piece is the shout. Voice of the sky. I love how daintily you mine in this game. If you do it properly and don't just flail around at it like I do. Cap. Cap. Quicksilver ore is fairly valuable, so I figured I'd pick it up. This is the Tower Stone. It's garbage, because lockpicking is garbage. I think there's like some randomly generated loot in a skill book over there. We might be able to get it with Whirlwind Sprint. I do love to experiment with Whirlwind Sprint.
Wold. Nakest.
Just barely. Knights of the Nine. That was the name of Oblivion expansion. The nice thing about water is that, like most video game water, it means that you don't take fall damage. Even if it's actually quite shallow and wouldn't work that way. Both bear pelts and bear claws are actually fairly valuable, so it's worth it to pick them up if you have the room. Random ass Shrine of Talos out here in the middle of nowhere. But it is probably the best blessing in the game, so might as well pick it up. If I can find a way to the actual point where you interact with it. Ow. Physics! The 20% reduction in shout cooldown is actually pretty darn significant when you get to the 3-word shouts that take a long time to cool down. Uh-oh, it's a snow bear. Fortunately, I have reached the point with my two-handed skill that for the most part, I can just sort of power attack until I win, because it stuns them, usually, unless they're super tough. Then I have to use a little bit more thought.
Hold. Now test.
Anyway, here is Ysgramor's tomb, but there's also things that don't want me around. What's going on? Horkers? No. Oh, wolveses. I'll just let them deal with the horkers. This is where the companions have posted up while I've been running around collecting horns and yelling at things. Ayala, be careful.
This is the resting place of Ysgramor and his most trusted generals. You should be cautious. The original companions, their finest warriors, rest with Ysgramor. You'll have to prove yourselves to them. It's not that you're intruding. I'd wager they've actually expected us. They just want to be sure that you're worthy. Be ready for an honorable battle. Return Wuthra to Ysgramor. It should open the way. Good day.
Honestly, glad to get that out of my inventory. It was heavy!
For Codland.
These skeevers were the most honorable skeevers of their time.
Where'd you come from?
I'll just let you guys deal with that one. Don't want to intrude. The companion ghosts are not especially noteworthy in any way except for the fact that their corpses disappear after you kill them. So they don't really drop anything. Well, sometimes. It's a little inconsistent, like a lot of things in this game. Sunfire should actually work on these guys. Who's hiding? With that one.
Bruce?
The companion ghosts do sort of suffer from the whole thing, where it's difficult to tell which ones are strong and which ones are weak.
I can't go any further, Shield Sister. Ever since Dustman's cairn, the big crawly ones have been too much for me. Everyone has his weakness, and this one is mine. I'm not proud, but I will stay back with Vilkas. Give my regards to Ysgramor.
Okay. I mean, I sort of installed a mod. It's probably okay. mean, personally, I would not fault Farkas for his aversion to the big crawly ones, as he puts it. I guess if somebody has, spider troubles, they send somebody else in the companions. Huh. I decapitated the ghost so hard it bled ghost blood.
Who's there?
Me! I dare! Why am I still going? Oh! Oh, okay. That's how it is. It's really not so much fun when they do it to you.
We meet again, mortal.
Kill the beast!
Only a fool tries to kill the dead!
I found that sync kills are like the biggest danger of actually dying in this game. Ghosts are kind of silly in this game. They're very, melodramatic. Oh hey, sorry about that whole using the Skyforge while you were burning thing.
Greetings, Shield Sister. Of course, my fellow Harbingers and I have been warming ourselves here, trying to evade hearsay. You see only me because your heart knows only me as the Companion's leader. I'd wager old Vignar could see half a dozen of my predecessors. And I see them all. The ones in Sovngarde, the ones trapped with me in Hearsee's realm. And they all see you. You've brought honor to the name of the Companions. We won't soon forget it. Did he now? I can only hope. You still have the witches' heads. Excellent. Throw one of them into the fire. It will release their magic. For me, at least.
This is how you cure lycanthropy, more or less. very literally minded. You rip the wolf spirit out of them and kill it.
Greetings, Shield, and so slain the beast inside of me. I thank you for this gift. The other Harbingers remain trapped by hearsay. Perhaps from Sovngarde, the heroes of old can join me in their rescue. The harrowing of the hunting grounds. It would be a battle of such triumph. And perhaps someday you'll join us in that battle. But for today, return to Jorvaskr. Triumph in your victory. And lead the companions to further glory.
Did I hear right? Did he say you were to lead the companions? You've earned the right. Your strength and honor are apparent to all.
I swing the hammer real good.
It's my honor to be first to address you as Harbinger. Let's go tell the others.
Anyway, Ysgramor's tomb is actually a surprisingly short dungeon. And in this chest is the always spawning unique Shield of Ysgramor. If you use shields, it's actually pretty darn good. So this is some orcish armor, but gosh, that's heavy. Ah, fine, I'll take it. And this too. That's why we bring these along. There is, oddly enough, no word wall in the tomb itself, but that doesn't mean there's no word wall. And bam, we're right out here. What happened to Wuthrod?
May the gods watch over your battles, friend. I wouldn't have expected someone like you to be the Harbinger, but Kodlak trusted your judgment. Not right now. I'm going to look at some of these carvings. I wonder if Ysgramor ever set foot here while he was alive. But you don't have to stay if you don't want to. I'll see you back. Yes, you brought honor to him, even after his death. A worthy outcome for a worthy warrior.
Anyway, all of the companions are now potential followers now. So you can actually use Vilkas and Farkas for that whole follower-trainer technique if you feel cheesy. Can be useful for heavy armor, since armor skills tend to be a little difficult to level up. Oh right, Wuthrod's not a quest item anymore. I'm a little too heavy. There's also the fact that now that Glenmoral witch heads are no longer quest items, they just take up 4 weight each because they have really big heads, I guess. It behooves you to hold on to them in some capacity, though, because just as you cured Kodlak's lycanthropy, you can actually cure your own and Vilkas's and Farkas's. Zzz. Anyway, this is pretty much the end of the Companion's quest line, though now we can take on some side quests. I believe that there are some to hunt dragons, there are some to find the totems of Hircine if you're still a werewolf. Now, Animal Allegiance is essentially a more powerful version of Kind's Peace. instead of just making animals passive, using animal allegiance will actually make them fight for you. And while I kind of undervalued this shout in the past, I've actually learned a couple of things since then that have made me reevaluate it. Mostly that chorus count as animals. If you use animal allegiance in a bunch of Falmer dungeons, then you can actually make them a whole lot easier by making the chorus your friends for a little while. Anyway, with the Companion's questline done, it's time to head back to Whiterun. Because, as always, we have shit to deposit in the chest. Oh yeah, technically, you could get skeevers to gnaw on bandits for you, or you could, potentially turn a pack of wolves into your friends. For a while, anyway. It has specific utility, but it's not bad. There are some utilities where it is very good, actually, like the aforementioned chorus. Also against fighting giants, if you're into fighting giants. Because you can just use animal allegiance on the mammoths, and the mammoths are even more powerful than the giants, so they actually just kind of kick their butts for you. I'm gonna go ahead and put those witch heads in the trunk for now. I'm sure it'll be fine. Liquefaction is a myth. That orcish armor in there, the shield. I don't really have the necessary perk, I think, to enhance Wuthrot at all, so it's going in there as well. While I'm thinking about it, I think I'm actually going to use some of my vast riches to actually decorate this place. I'm getting a little tired of how musty it looks.
Have you heard? There's been another dragon attack. Pines Grove this time.
Lady, could you spare a coin?
Not now, child. I have to go spare a bunch of coins. I would say that most shouts tend to be kind of situational, but there's not very many of them that are just out and out bad.
You are the harbinger of the companions. It is my honor to
I've been looking for you.
What?
Got something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only. Let's see here. There's a new lady in charge of the orphanage in Riften. She asked me to hand out these notices to everyone I met. Looks like that's it. Got to go.
That's part of the Hearthfire DLC where you can adopt children. I'm not especially interested in it, to be honest with you. I'm like out adventuring in tombs and stuff all of my time, and also being a werewolf. I don't think I'd be a very good parent. It's not your usual chair, Jarl Balgruuf.
I serve Jarl Balgruuf as steward.
I'll be glad to help you.
And of course, now, what would you like to purchase? Very well. Is there anything else you'd like to... Very well. Is there anything else you'd like to purchase?
This is how they get ya.
Is there anything else you'd like to purchase? Very well. Is there anything else you'd like to purchase? Very well. Is there anything else you'd like to purchase? Very well. Is there anything else you'd like to purchase?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you. And now magically I have all the stuff I just bought. Alright, so, what next is a good... Let me try and remember what I wrote in my Word document. Get Unrelenting Force, finish Companions, continue with Dawn Guard, I think.
They can barely tolerate our presence on Earth. Today, they take away.
Somebody should really do something about that ash pile. Serana. Anyway, behold the glory of fully decorated Bree's home. It actually looks like a home now, and not a shitty storage container. Even have this little backspace for the alchemy lab, and more importantly, another chest. I tend to use this chest to store all of my alchemy ingredients. That actually got like a good 80 pounds out of our inventory, so I'm pretty satisfied. The bedroom has doors now, we have our own sweet roll, everything is good. Life is good. Bree's home is probably like the least impressive overall of the player housing options, but it's also the cheapest and the easiest to get and probably the most convenient, so, you know. Sometimes it's good to shun ostentation. Ostentatiousness. Alright, let's see. Could pick up the next leg of this quest, but it sort of takes us in the middle of nowhere. But it is useful. Guess we could hang out. I guess we could go take a... Why do sentences keep dying in my mouth? I guess we could go visit the Dark Brotherhood Sanctuary. I need to talk to a carriage driver anyway. Generally speaking, the Lover's Stone is more efficient than having one of the others, because it's a 15% boost to all learnings, as opposed to a 20% boost to one tree. However, there is a foible to that in that you can actually get, if you get married, you can get the lover's bonus on your own by just sleeping in a bed with the person you married. And the upshot of that is that if you take the stone, you can't have that or any other well-rested bonuses with it. With a couple of sneaky exceptions you can make with the ethereal crown. Also, I'm a werewolf, so the entire point is kind of moot. Because we can't get resting bonuses.
Need a ride? It's one of them Imperial scholars, right? Old man with a gray robe.
Yes. Not a graybeard, though. It's different.
Might be that I have, but I can't say for sure. I got enough troubles on my mind just trying to scrape by out here. Can't help you, friend. I might remember better if my pockets weren't so light. Oh, yeah. I remember
Dickhead.
the moth priest now. He wanted me to take him out to Dragonbridge, but I told him it ain't one of my stops. Where do you want to go? Climbing back and we'll be off.
I can't kill this man. He's essential because he runs a carriage. I can't just kill everybody. It's against the rules.
Did you see a dog out there? Oh well. The blacksmith is offering a reward for a dog he saw on the road. I was hoping you'd seen it. I guess I'll stay on the lookout. Keep your nose clean while you're here, outsider.
Hello, Mr. Goat. There's a couple of things you can do in Falkreath. We did get a missive from the Jarl a little while ago about potentially buying property upon his lands, but we're a little not wealthy for that at the moment. We could probably afford it, but it's not what we're here for. There's also actually a couple of... Hello? Vampires. I appreciate the gumption of the old woman who just ran up to punch a vampire in the face.
What is it?
I think you know what it is. Hope she didn't die. I don't see her corpse.
Trouble?
Oh no, she's over there. Okay, we're fine. Everything's fine. Vampires are a myth.
Try. Judge Falkreath too harshly, visitor. The war has been hard on us.
So as I was saying before I was somewhat rudely interrupted, is that there are actually a couple of Daedric quests that start in Falkreath.
The god Arche was once like us, bound to winding mortality. But he willingly gave up this existence, that we might better understand the vagaries of life and death. It is through the ebb and flow of this cosmic tide that we find renewal. And in the end...
This must be that beautiful Skyrim weather I've always heard about.
who have left this world and its suffering know the beloved serenity of Aetherius. And may we one day rejoin them in eternity.
Gust is responsible for the cemetery here in Falkreath. I take care of the shrine. I am. I came into Arkay's light after the Great War. So many died by my hands, my magics. I'm fortunate that Gust and the people of Falkreath have come to accept me as one of their own. Could you do an old elf a favor? I misplaced my journal in a cave I was exploring. I'll pay for its return. Blessing of Arkay to you for your help.
Oh, merciful Arkay, no. I'm too old and frail, and this graveyard is too large. Gust is my assistant. He helps me tend the headstones and keep our cemetery clean.
Let's get
as
indoors,
befits a place
or
of
in a
rest.
cave. Anywhere,
Well,
just
it means
kind
a
of
lot to
fits.
me.
Strangers like you bring war. These graves hold the sons and daughters of Falkreath.
A sad time. Our daughter. Our little girl. She hadn't seen her 10th winter. She was... He ripped her apart, like a saber cat tears a deer. We barely found enough of her to bury. Sinding came through as a laborer. Seemed like a decent man. He's stewing in the pit while we figure out what to do with him. If you've got the stomach to look at him. What could drive a man to do something like this? I just don't understand what kind of man does that.
I'm no fan of the
The quest Ill Met by Moonlight is a Daedric quest regarding, funnily enough, Hircine. It's the quest for werewolves, basically. By completing it, you can get an artifact that lets you transform into a werewolf whenever you want, as opposed to once a day. If you really like being a werewolf, it's not bad. But being a werewolf isn't that good, so your mileage may vary. Spooky door! The other choices are funny, but the door won't be amused, and this is the only way to actually get in.
Ah, at last. I hope you found the place all right. Well, what happens now is you start your new life in the Dark Brotherhood. You're part of the family, after all. This, as you can see, is our sanctuary. You won't find a safer place in all of Skyrim. So get comfortable.
I mean, I guess this place doesn't get attacked by vampires.
Yes, the silence suits you. Gives you an air of mystery. Now, down to business. I'm arranging a job for you. But in the meantime, go talk to Nazir. He may have some smaller contracts to tide you over. Soon, the Night Mother will arrive. And things around here are sure to get even more interesting. Ah, but one last thing. A welcome home present. The armor of the Dark Brotherhood. May it serve you well in all your endeavors. Be sure and introduce yourself to your new family members. They're all...
So let's take a look at the armor we just picked up. The shrouded stuff is all designed to help you move stealthy and kill people silently. The backstabs do double damage in particular can make you do some, quite frankly, obscene numbers if you are so desirous of doing so.
Very eager to meet you.
We'll probably be leaving this quest mostly on the back burner.
Okay, wait. Here we go. Oh, you're such a pretty little girl. Would the sweetie like a sweetie? Oh, yes. How about some chocolate? Oh, yes, please, Spencer. Mama and Papa left me all alone. I'm so very hungry. I know a chocolate to make salad. Oh, yeah, very good, very good. My, it's dark down here. Oh, but you're so beautiful. Such a lovely smile. Your teeth! No!
Oh, Babette, but you are so wicked.
What about you, Festus? How did that last contract turn out?
Oh, yes, please, old man.
Right, yes, we'll have fun with that, regaling each other with tales of murder. I had the word of power, so I got shit to do. Bye. Anyway, that is the last place to get the marked for death word. So that's completely full out now, which is good. We need another dragon soul to fully max it out, but that's fine. We could go get the priest's journal, but that's kind of a pain. And we could talk to Sinding, but I just don't like being a werewolf that much, so it's not really high priority. We should go to Dragon's Bridge instead. Mostly I just wanted to get that word. And something that kills me about all these super advanced ancient societies is how all of their shit still seems to work after millennia. I'm lucky if my computer lasts like more than a couple years. What's their secret?
Hail, companion.
I guess we could also do the Meridia quest while we're here. In the area. If we wanted. I've made a mistake. This is not the way I want to go. I mean, it is, it's just not the correct path. I have to get up a little higher first to get to Dragon's Bridge.
Let me guess. Someone stole your sweet roll.
Nope, my sweet roll is fine. It's at home, next to my bed. If Lydia wants it, I guess she can have it. I mean, if the guards do catch you stealing a sweet roll, they will be very mad. The Bear Claw logo indicates a Stormcloak camp. Since they're based out of Windhelm, whose emblem is the bear. It's a little bit like the New California Republic, except less heads.
Those rebels better not try coming to Hoffingard.
They're right over there, dude.
Ah, so that was a moth priest then. He rode through town not long ago with an escort of soldiers. They didn't stop, just headed south across the Dragon Bridge. All right then.
Sorry, I sort of had a sneezing fit going on while that was happening. Anyway, vampires attack the caravan. But not this caravan. This caravan was attacked by somebody different entirely. And the Moth Priest is being held in the Forebears hideout. Holdout, whatever it's called. It's basically like 5 feet away. It's kind of a bad hiding spot, if you ask me. I would say that level 20-ish is about when you're probably ready to start pursuing the DLC stuff in earnest. You can do it earlier, but some of the stuff later can get quite hard if you do. sounds are a little bit annoying because they sort of inflict a bit of frost damage when they hit you. It's not a lot, but it's enough to drain your stamina enough for it to be annoying.
Fus,
The various anti-vampire enchantments that I have on me makes fighting them pretty darn easy. The Warhammer does extra damage. The armor reduces damage from them. It's quite the bounty. Their thralls are arguably more threatening than they are at this point. Anyway, stick the Waystone focus into the source. And now we have to fight the Moth Priest for some reason? He is, ironically, the one person in the game that you can actually spare.
I could see through my eyes, but I could not control my actions. Thank you for breaking that foul vampire's hold over me. Thank the divines for you. I'm quite all right, thanks to you. Dexian Evicus is my name. I'm a moth priest of the White Gold Tower. These vampires claimed they had some purpose in store for me, but they wouldn't say what. Probably hoping to ransom me, the fools. You do? Oh,
you do?
Mysteries. You have an Elder Scroll. Remarkable. If my knowledge of history serves me, I recall that the Dawn Guard was an ancient order of vampire hunters. I will be happy to assist you with your Elder Scroll. Just tell me where I need to go. Very well. I'll hurry on my way there before more of those vampires turn up.
You can see that Dexius uses a katana as well. It's sort of a thing about, how high-ranking Imperials arm themselves. I believe that there was some event or other where they were invaded, or either, no, I think they invaded, no, somebody invaded somebody from Akavir, and they used the fancy swords, so once the Imperials won, thanks to Tiber Septim being Tiber Septim, they all just sort of took that kind of weaponry for themselves. Which is why all the blades use katanas. And the Moth Priests, I guess. Ancestors Holdout is slightly bereft of features. It's mostly just for Dexion. Anyway, nothing really left to do out here, so let's head back to Fort Dawnguard, all the way over here. Thank goodness for fast travel. And some people say it ruins the game. Yeah, I definitely want to have to trek halfway across the world map just to get to where I need to go, right? Yeah, absolutely. It's too warm today. Wonder why. It's been fairly pleasant for like the last week or so. Fucking don't tell me I have to restart the game again. Come on. Come on. I know that you can do this. I know that you can load the video game.
I'm impressed you could find a moth priest so quickly. For the reading? Yeah. Just let the old man know when you're ready.
Ah, hello there. Ah, my rescuer. It's good to see you again. It's not exactly the hospitality I'm used to, but your man Isran has seen to my needs well enough. And might I add, this is a remarkable fortress. I have colleagues back home that would love to study this place in detail. Oh, most certainly. Let's find out what secrets the scroll can tell. Now, if everyone will please be quiet, I must concentrate. I see a vision before me. An image of a great bow. I know this weapon. It is Oriel's bow. Now a voice whispers, saying, among the night's children, a dread lord will rise. In an age of strife, when dragons return to the realm of men, darkness will mingle with light, and the night and the day will be as one. The voice fades and the words begin to shimmer and distort. But wait, there is more here. The secret of the bow's power is written elsewhere. I think there is more to the prophecy, recorded in other scrolls. Yes, I see them now. One contains the ancient secrets of the dragons, and the other speaks of the potency of ancient blood. My vision darkens, and I see no more. To know the complete prophecy, we must have the other two scrolls. I must rest now. The reading has made me weary.
Come on, old man. You should get some rest.
Do you have a moment to talk? That moth priest, Dexian, he said we needed 2 other Elder Scrolls. I think I know where we can start looking. Half the people in your little crew would just as soon kill me as talk to me. That doesn't exactly make me want to open up. I got a warmer welcome from my father, and that's saying something. You know, I've asked myself the same thing. I hoped that if he saw me, he might feel something again. But I guess I don't really factor in at this point. I don't even think he sees me as his daughter anymore. I'm just a means to an end. We need to find my mother, Valerica. She'll definitely know where it is, and if we're lucky, she actually has it herself. The last time I saw her, she said that she'd go somewhere safe. Somewhere that my father would never search. Other than that, she wouldn't tell me anything. But the way she said it, someplace he would never search. It was cryptic, yet she called attention to it. Maybe. What I can't figure out is why she said it that way. Besides, I can't imagine a single place my father would avoid looking. And he's had all this time, too. Any ideas? Wait, that almost makes sense. There's a courtyard in the castle. I used to help her tend a garden there. All of the ingredients for our potions came from there. She used to say that my father couldn't stand the place. Too peaceful. Oh, absolutely. But my mother's not a coward. That is, I don't think we'll actually trip over her there, but it's worth a look. True, but I know a way we can get to the courtyard without arousing suspicion. There's an unused inlet on the northern side of the island that was used by the previous owners to bring supplies into the castle. An old escape tunnel from the castle exits there. I think that's our way in. It's around the side of the castle. Let's move.
Alright, so this brings us to the next leg of the Dawnguard questline, and it's probably the longest, because not only do we have to find the Elder Scroll that is supposedly lurking in Volkihar Castle, we also have to find one that's actually part of the main quest of the main game. Now, fortunately, the game is not so draconic. Well, maybe that's not the right word. The game is not so strict and cruel that it demands you to advance the main quest to a certain point to continue with the DLC. You can actually get both Elder Scrolls without even really doing Dragon Rising if you don't want to. That would be stupid. Well, why wouldn't you want Fus Ro Dah? You really have to go out of your way. Alright, well, there's no time like the present. So, let's get a move on. So as mentioned, we can't really use the front door.
Yeah, just around this spend. Doesn't look so big from down here. I mean, it is big, but, well, even bigger. Who's there?
This alternate entrance is guarded by some animated skeletons. They're not especially difficult. They are special, though. They're a bit different from normal skeletons. They wear a little bit of armor, and they also have actually some enemy scaling going on with them. They shouldn't give you too much trouble, but you can't just steamroll them. I'd say that the stronger ones are probably about on par with a Draugr White.
Fool?
Who's there? Anyone heard something?
The Death Hounds count as undead, so Sunfire will do damage to them.
On Sunday. That'll teach you. That'll teach you. Who's there? Something?
Interesting. Evidently she phased through the door? I'm not quite sure. Reading the Ethereum Wars actually starts a quest, so it's worth it to just flip through the pages to make sure that gets knocked off in your journal.
This won't end. That'll teach you.
The only thing really of note about that feral vampire is that it has a little journal fragment about how she's been hiding out down here because the vampires up in the castle don't like her for some reason. Not really explained. how she was trying to raise an army of death hounds against them. Seemed overall like a bad idea. Death hounds aren't that fearsome. Probably use some more magicka. I don't think that will break the bank. I think we'll actually go with overdraw here to keep our bow damage relevant. There's some goodies over there if you whirlwind sprint, so I'm just gonna wait for the cooldown real quick.
Yes? What did you need?
Now cast!
Now, for reasons that I don't really understand, whenever I get to this point in the game, Serana gets very chatty and will always ask, yes, what do you need? When you don't really need anything. Gotta make sure we're going the right way.
This leads out to the courtyard. Just head for the door.
Yeah, he looked like Darth Maul and everything. It was awful.
We've made it to the courtyard. Oh no. What happened to this place? Everything's been torn down. The whole place looks, well, dead. It's like we're the first to set foot here in centuries. This used to lead into the castle's great hall. Looks like my father had it sealed up. I used to walk through here after evening meals. It was beautiful once. This was my mother's garden. Do you know how beautiful something can be when it's tended by a master for hundreds of years? She would have hated to see it like this. Wait.
I'll just help clean it up a little.
Something's wrong with the moon dial here. Some of the crests are missing and the dial is askew. I didn't even know the crests could be removed. Maybe my mother's trying to tell us something.
This isn't really much of a puzzle. But it's here. You have to find Mooncrest. I think there's 3 in all? I found 2 already.
Very clever, Mother. Very clever. I've never been in those tunnels before, but I'd bet they'd run right under the courtyard and into the tower roof. Well, at least we're getting closer. Let's go.
There are a couple of miscellaneous towers that you can explore here for some random stuff, but it's not really worth it at the moment. Probably gonna stop in a few minutes here, just get to the next real breaking point, and then we can take a break and take stock.
I've never even seen this part of the castle before. Be careful. I don't know what might be around.
Oh, Kahi!
The undead are not particularly impressed by frost breath, but it still will slow them down and cause a little bit of damage. As usual, gargoyles tend to have pretty nice loot drops, so it's worth it to kill them when you see them, which honestly isn't very often.
Where'd you go? Done and done.
Skeleton party is the best kind of party. Lots of magically enchanted flames here that sort of just turn on while you're walking by.
Where'd you come from?
An annoying thing about gargoyles is that even if you know they're coming, you can't get like preemptive attacks on them for the most part. While they're still in statue form, they're basically invulnerable. It's a bit of a bother, especially if you're a stealth-focused character. Oh, it just must be.
Who's there? I knew I heard something.
For better or for worse, this abandoned tower is pretty much just filled with skeletons. with the occasional gargoyle. It's not exactly the most, interesting layout, but it's there. Oh no, what a surprise. I guess it would just be too easy if they let you attack while they were in statue form. The gargoyles have very nice loot, but the skeletons, by contrast, have, like, no loot at all. It's sort of unfortunate. This ruined Shrine of Mar is kind of a Castlevania-ish addition to the place. Sort of reminds me of the save points. At least in Area of Sorrow. The ones in Symphony of Night were like weird runic cubes. Dodecahedrons. Where's the last one?
Who's there? I knew I heard something.
No such turning into coffins here. Just kind of a nice bit of environmental storytelling. Almost there, I believe.
Who's there? Who's there?
I'm glad that they're observing proper. Hey, I wanted to search you. I'm glad they're observing proper decorum. Only coming out one at a time. How about you, huh?
I don't think we've reached the top yet. I bet there's some kind of secret passage around here.
Well, yes, there are an abundance of skulls in this tower, but there aren't any really toilet analogs. I guess if we find any chamber pots, then we can put a skull in one and proclaim ourselves masters. The Royal Vampire armor that you find here is actually like a really nice set of light armor if you come here early, which isn't too difficult. That whole ladder thing is just a red herring. It's just a candlestick. Troll skull in a bucket. Getting closer, I guess.
Look at this place. This has to be it. I knew she was deep into necromancy. I mean, she taught me everything I know. But I had no idea it would look like this. Look at all this. She must have spent years collecting
Heh, memes.
components. And what's this thing? I'm not sure about this circle, but it's obviously something.
Astute observation.
Let's take a look around. There has to be something here that tells us where she's gone. My mother was meticulous about her research. If we can find her notes, there might be some hints in there. Not that I ever saw. My mother had a bit of a thing for magical constructs. Not what you're thinking. She just found them fascinating. I remember she used to keep a small journal.
Alright, well, we know right where the journal is. It's just a bookcase over there. But we're out of time for today. I think this is probably a pretty good stopping point, because when we solve the puzzle, quote-unquote, in here, we enter into a pretty significant side area that will take some time to complete comfortably. So I think I'd rather just leave that for tomorrow. We will be starting again tomorrow, same time, same place, same person, hopefully. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, there are myriad ways to reach me. Oh, there's another skill book here. There's like a billion skill books in here. Right. So that's it for today. Thank you all for watching. Hope to talk to you again tomorrow, when we will explore the mysteries of this forbidden tower and this circle thingy.